All right, today we are diving into one of the most intense, most dramatic confrontations in all of history. And look, this isn't just some story from an old book. This is a foundational epic, a clash of power, pride, and divine will that literally shaped the course of nations. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we all know that epic climax, right? The parting of the Red Sea. It's one of the most famous scenes ever. But here's the thing, that's the end of the story. To really get what's going on, you have to go back. You have to understand what happened right before that incredible escape.
See, before there could be freedom, there had to be a battle. And this wasn't just some small skirmish. This was a conflict that would bring the most powerful empire on earth to its absolute knees.
But this wasn't a war in the way you might think. The weapons here weren't swords or spears, not bronze or iron. No, this was a battle of wills. It was a confrontation fought with signs and wonders. It was a clash between a God determined to free his people and a king who was just far, far too proud to ever kneel.
So our story really kicks off at the very heart of Egypt, at its lifeblood, the Nile River. This is the arena. This is where the first challenge is issued, and where the very first blow is struck.
All right, let's set the scene here. So, who are the players? Well, on one side, you've got Moses and Aaron speaking for an entire nation of slaves. And on the other, you have Pharaoh, the living embodiment of imperial power. The stakes? Oh, just the freedom of a nation. Nothing big. And the weapon of choice in this epic showdown? A simple wooden staff.
So, picture it, the sun's hitting the river, making it look golden. Moses just raises his staff, and then the water shivers. Then it starts to tremble. A streak of dark red cuts through the surface, almost like a wound opening up. Then another, and another, until the entire river is churning with this absolutely horrifying new color.
And just so we're clear, this wasn't some illusion. It was blood. Thick, dark, and absolutely undeniable. Egypt's very source of life, the symbol of its powerful gods, had just become a torrent of judgment. You can bet the entire nation's heart started to pound with fear.
Okay, so a week goes by, and then the next sign crawls right out of that corrupted river. It's a living, croaking tide of frogs just pouring out, flooding every single corner of the empire. I mean, they were in the ovens, in people's beds, even hopping all over Pharaoh's throne room. It was so overwhelming that Pharaoh actually cracks. He makes his first promise. Get your God to take these away and I'll let your people go. Yeah, that was a promise he was going to break real fast.
You can just feel this building, right? The third plague, this one was different. It didn't come from the water. It came from the very earth itself. At God's command, the dust of Egypt just came alive. It transformed into this swarming, inescapable fog of gnats that choked the air and just clung to everything and everyone. And here's what's so telling, the reaction. You see, even Pharaoh's own magicians, the guys who had been trying to replicate the first couple signs, they were completely powerless. They fell back, totally terrified, and whispered the awful truth to their king. This isn't magic. This is the finger of God. And that brings us to the next phase of this whole conflict. Because now, the battle becomes less about the plagues themselves and way more about this repeating, destructive cycle that's all centered on one man's stubborn pride. And you can basically set your watch to this pattern. It's 5 steps. 1, a devastating plague strikes. 2, Pharaoh, totally desperate, pleads for help and promises freedom. 3, Moses prays. 4, the plague ends. And 5, the second the pressure is off, Pharaoh's pride comes roaring back, his heart hardens, and that promise? Broken. And this happens again and again.
And right in the middle of this cycle, a really crucial detail comes into focus. See, these plagues aren't just random acts of nature. You have swarms of flies, disease killing off livestock, a darkness you can feel, all of it hammering Egypt. But the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, completely untouched. This was a deliberate, targeted message. No question about it.
So, with Pharaoh locked into his cycle of pride, the plagues, they escalate.
They're not just disruptive anymore. Oh no. Now they start to tear the very fabric of the natural world apart, pushing Egypt right to its breaking point. You know, Pharaoh actually scoffed when he was warned about hail, but then the sky just broke open. We're talking about a supernatural storm of ice, hailstones bigger than your fist, raining down with fire literally streaking inside the ice itself. It shattered everything it touched, and for a moment, Pharaoh broke. He admitted, "I have sinned." But of course, the second the storm ended, his sincerity just vanished along with the ice. And the devastation just kept compounding. The eighth plague showed up as a roaring, living cloud of locusts. I mean, a swarm so vast it literally blotted out the sun. They devoured every single green thing the hail had missed, turning what was left of Egypt's fertile land into a barren wasteland in just a few hours. And then came a plague of pure psychological terror. This wasn't just nighttime, it was a tangible darkness, a thick, oppressive blackness that they said could actually be felt, smothering all light for 3 terrifying days. And that profound isolation, that fear, it led to one final, furious confrontation where Pharaoh actually threatened Moses with death. The stage was now set for the end. The 10th and final plague. It was different from all the others. It didn't come with a storm or a swarm of insects. It came with a quiet, solemn set of instructions. Instructions that would lead to the final judgment and to the night of deliverance. So here's how that fateful night played out. While the people of Israel followed these very careful instructions, preparing a lamb, marking their doors with its blood as a sign of their faith, the rest of Egypt slept, completely unaware. Then, at the stroke of midnight, a silent judgment passed over the land. A shadow moved from house to house, and where that shadow saw the blood on the door, it passed over. But where it didn't, it struck. And then, a great cry rose up from Egypt, a storm of grief from every single family, as the firstborn in every household fell, from the son of the lowest prisoner all the way up to the son of Pharaoh himself. And this was the blow that finally shattered Pharaoh's pride for good. He called for Moses, but not with threats this time. He spoke with the broken voice of a grieving father. "Go," he whispered. "Leave Egypt, and bless me also." Just think about that. The most powerful man in the world, reduced to begging for a blessing from the very man he had just threatened to kill. And just like that, after 400 years in chains, an entire nation walked out free. They didn't leave as a conquering army with swords and shields, but as a redeemed people. They were liberated not by their own strength, but by the powerful hand of a God who literally bent nature itself to break their chains. And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway, doesn't it? The story of the 10 plagues is so much more than just a historical account. It's this profound statement about power, about faith, and about redemption. And it leaves us with this one final echoing question. When God fights for his people, what chain can possibly hold?